Hey there guys, Howie here from CanadaVapes.com, and today we're going to be doing an introductory video to the e-cigarette. We're going to break down a 510 e-cigarette, show you the different parts, and show you how they work. So let's get it going. Here is a standard 510 e-cigarette. It consists of three parts. Almost every e-cigarette that you are ever going to look at has these three basic parts. Part one is the battery, either automatic or manual. Part two is the atomizer, and part three is the cartridge. So we're going to talk about the cartridge first. You basically have two options for your cartridge. The cartridge is what generally stores the e-liquid and transfers it into the atomizer to be vaporized. Your two options for the cartridge are pre-filled cartridges that can be refilled using e-liquid, such as this one. This is an e-liquid, and you simply put it into the atomizer, allow it to do its thing. When it starts to dry out, you're simply going to drip your e-liquid right back into the cartridge and fill it up again, and then you're good to go. The other option is what's called direct dripping, and for this method, which is what I use, you don't need any filler inside your cartridge. You simply drip your e-liquid, usually 1 to 3 drops, directly into your atomizer, and then when it starts to get dry, you simply pop off your cartridge, throw another couple drops in there, and you're good to go. The advantages of using a cartridge is that it tends to last longer. You can put anywhere from 10 to 12, sometimes even 14 or 15 drops in your cartridge, and it's going to last you a lot more puffs without having to refill it. The advantages of direct dripping are simply that it's a little bit stronger of a flavor and a little bit stronger of a throat hit. That's what most people seem to say when they decide to direct drip. The disadvantages, of course, you have to do it more often. You're constantly pulling off the top, and you generally, it's just a little bit more of a action required way to e-smoke as opposed to a cartridge, which is a little bit more automatic. Okay, next you have the atomizer here that comes in a standard or a low voltage. A low voltage will simply be a little bit stronger and more intense hit and produce a little bit more vapor, but the low voltage also will cause your atomizer to break down faster, and it'll also use up quite a bit more e-juice or e-liquid. So this atomizer here, this is just a standard atomizer. It consists of three parts inside. It's a little bit difficult to see, but bear with me. Right in the middle, right at the bottom, is a heating element. That's right, you see the white oval shape. Inside there is the heating element. Right on top of there is the wick, and that just holds the e-juice close to the heating element. And on top you see that metallic kind of pointy thing. That's just the bridge, and that simply helps the e-liquid get from the cartridge onto the heating element to be vaporized. And then finally you have the battery. Batteries come in manual or automatic. This is a manual, so it has a push button here, and when I push it, you see most of them will have a LED light on the bottom to indicate that they're on. So you push the button and it goes on. Now the differences between the automatic and the manual are simply that a manual you have to push to start. With an automatic, you simply start inhaling and the battery will automatically turn on. The problems with the automatic generally are that the automatic battery has a tendency to go off in vibration type situations. If it's in your pocket, if you're at a rock concert, if you're somewhere where you're going to get a lot of movement, they will have a tendency to go off when you're not actually using them. And this can cause your battery to wear down faster, and also it can cause your atomizer to go off without needing it. The other problems with the automatic batteries are that sometimes, most of them actually will have a shut-off timer after 5 seconds of continuous vaping. They'll flash, the LED light will flash, and they'll stop working. This is designed so that it doesn't get overused, or if it accidentally gets turned on, it doesn't stay on forever. But some people who like to vape for big, long, slow inhalations don't like the automatic batteries. So it's a personal preference thing again as to whether you want the ease of use of an automatic battery, but generally most people, again, they might start with an automatic battery, but most vapors
tend to switch to manual. It's just a little bit, gives you a little bit more control over your product. And the other thing about the automatic battery is it's not a sealed unit. You see inside this is a manual battery. It's completely sealed. And sometimes when you're direct dripping, so if you're dripping liquid right into the atomizer, sometimes you'll actually get some excess e-liquid that goes into the chamber of the battery. And this can be very bad for an automatic battery, and that's why it's not recommended to ever direct drip using an automatic battery. So there you have the three components of the e-cig. This is a 510 model, as I've said. I'm just going to go ahead and put it all back together so you can see. And there it is. One e-cig and all of its components. Fairly simple. One thing about the atomizer that I didn't mention before is that they do have a lifespan. Generally speaking, atomizers will last you anywhere from a couple of weeks to a couple of months, but they are designed to be replaceable. They're about 10 or 12 bucks a piece. Not too expensive. Definitely something that you will, along with your e-juice, be replacing once in a while. And the same thing with the batteries. They are rechargeable batteries and they last a fair amount of time, months and months and months, more often than not. But again, as you use them more and more, the life cycle of them will slowly dissipate. Just to give you another idea of another battery, this and the size difference, this is an Ego battery. And you see it's quite a bit bigger, but the one nice thing about this Ego battery is it tends to last much longer than the standard 510 battery. And you see they're fully interchangeable, so if I were to just unscrew the 510 battery and screw in the Ego battery, you see it's fully interchangeable. So this Ego battery will last you a good anywhere from 6 to 12 hours depending on how much you vape it, whereas the 510 batteries may last you 2 to 3 hours, again depending on how often you vape them. So again, it's a personal preference thing. A lot of this stuff isn't set in stone. Everyone has their own ideas and suggestions on which they prefer, the automatic or the manual, what kind of atomizers, whether they direct drip or whether they use a cartridge. So again, it's very much trial and error. Find out which you prefer and which you find most useful to you. This has been Howie for CanadaVapes.com. I hope you enjoyed this brief tutorial on the e-cigarette.